MTD, for a growing world.
Vodka Gorbachev and lemon. Go and get it.
Hello and welcome once again to the World Ice Hockey Championships in Helsinki. Russia against the USA, the second game of the day live on Eurosport. This is going to be a big one.
It certainly is, because both of these teams have won their first games in the second round of play. Each one of them came in as the underdogs yesterday and both pulled off good victories.
Absolutely right. The Americans beating the Czechs, the Russians beating the Swedes. Surprises all around. Earlier on today, the Canadians shut out the Finns, so it's a topsy-turvy tournament. We're going to take a short break now, but we'll be right back with the start of the first period. Welcome back once again. The teams out on the ice, they're exchanging handshakes with the officials. Muller will be the referee. Chesky and Schur are on the line. And we're looking forward to this one. The Russians really have picked up their act over the last few days, and they're surprising everyone. Still out of the lineup, Petrenko and Nikolitin, but that didn't seem to bother them the other day. Skopintsev is back after going into the boards head first, and he's helping the defense immensely out there. But this Russian team is getting a lot of support from the defense and from the goaltender. Maxim Mikhailovsky was not supposed to perform that well, according to the opposition press, but he has come up big on numerous occasions.
He has, and he's got a lot of guys playing gutsy hockey in front of him. Some of the big defensemen like Boutin, Folkin, really digging deep, putting in the extra effort when it's needed. And up front, they've had to really go the extra mile. Guys like Petrenko and Nikolitin out of the lineup, they're key players. And it's guys like Groliak, Belov. Barkov has got 7 points in the tournament. Who is he coming into the tournament? He has really performed nicely. And there's always Yashin, who's going to be a force in every game.
Jackson is the coach for the Americans, Dmitriev for the Russians, and in goal for the Americans, Chris Terreri.
He's been a very welcomed addition to this team. Jeff Jackson is a good coach. He's got this team playing better hockey every game. He knows more than anybody, though, it's a three-period game, and the Americans continue to have difficulty in the third period.
Referee Muller just waiting a moment until the timekeeper is ready to get this underway.
Paul, just to continue what I was saying, I'd expect the Americans to play the same kind of game as they did against the Czechs, taking the body all over the ice. They got off to a good first two periods, but the Czechs got back into it in the third, and it's the third period that the Americans want to tighten right down on.
Klee with the Americans playing from right to left. Klee handing it off. Sullivan takes a hit, and we've already seen a couple of good checks in the first 21 seconds of this hockey game. Beers on the far side, races down. Morozov is there. Folkin is there too. He bangs that into the corner. Prokopiev tries to get it out. Barkov on the far side, who plays his hockey in Finland, gets it up, and Prokopiev starts stick handling down the far side. Beers ties him up, and the Americans shoot it all the way down the ice. We have our first whistle in the hockey game, and the teams will get a chance to change out there.
Well, it was about 37 seconds into the period, and the Russians were already going for a change. You will see that all game. They are a little bit beat up. They don't have a very deep bench right now, and the guys are going to get on and off the ice in a hurry. The Americans know they're a little bit beat up. They're going to be trying to hit them, but hey, the Swedes tried that last night, and the Swedes have got one of the biggest teams in this tournament, and it didn't work.
Petrenko out with a shoulder injury, and Nikolitin has got a twisted knee. He missed practice today, and he really doesn't know when he's going to be back in the lineup, if at all. Another stoppage in play as that goes out of bounds, and we'll do it again with 50 seconds gone on the first period. Another great crowd in this building. A lot of entertainment with the music in the background, the drummers, the Blues Brothers, cheerleaders. It's all happening all around us. Afinogeev trying to work it in, stick handling through, and Donato collects. The second attempt, gets it up on the wing. A chance now, a shot, glove, save by Mikhailovsky. Tansel pushing on the far side, gets a little support from the captain, Donato.
Not trying to support the fighting side of the game, but I like to see it. That guy getting involved in front of the net, Skapintsev. The shot was taken by Tansel. It's a good wrist shot. Goaltender smart, holds onto the puck. He hears the whistle as the Americans came right to the net hard, like we've been seeing them do more and more as this tournament goes on. Skapintsev gave Tansel a pretty good hit with the shoulder and said, hey, we're in this game. You stay out of his face. It's going to be a long day for you as well.
Good save by the goaltender, and that's going to set him for the rest of the game, I'm sure. Just like he did against the Swedes, he made that save, and he does again with a shot. Wasn't a difficult one, but he made the first save right in the first couple of minutes. It was a world-class save, and after that, he was really tough to beat. Roloff let the shot go. There wasn't a lot of steam on it, but it was open for deflection or a screen. Face-off in the far corner. And the Americans deep in the zone. That gets beyond Roloff. Hedeken and Roloff go back. Butseyev is there to forecheck. Pass up the middle. A chance now for Krieger. Breaking up Krieger with Bouton, hooking him up from behind. First penalty of the hockey game coming up.
The Americans aren't wasting any time getting the wheels going. Todd Krieger's got some good legs on him. He was in the special skills competition. He was flying around the ice for the Americans in that. He didn't actually come off the winner in it, but he really showed that he's got good speed. Good pass up the middle. The Russians a little bit on their heels defensively. Bouton goes to the box for hooking.
1:21 the time of that penalty. Power play for the Americans. Face-off in the Russian zone. Donato in the face-off circle. Barkov is there too.
Donato, the leading goal scorer for the Americans with 4 goals so far. He's a good face-off man. Campbell won the last 2 draws he took against Yashin, but he goes to the left wing on the power play.
Weinrich floats it over to the top of the circle. Campbell couldn't control it. Weinrich gets it back, but it's the top of the circle in his own zone.
The Americans also like to use a forward on the point. They use Chris Tansel quite often. He's back there with Weinrich.
Mikhailovsky got a touch on that and put it out to the hash marks. The Americans pick it up with Campbell. Barkov is right on him. Barkov, Donato now. Donato wants it back, but they go in the opposite direction. Comes all the way back to Tansel. That's taken from him. Barkov is on one side, Prokopiev is on this side. The drop pass as the Russians bring it up. Fokin just slides it into the corner and doubles back to play some defensive hockey with 1:13 to go on the power play. Bouton still sitting for hooking as that goes into the corner. Campbell is trying to get out front, and the goaltender Terreri comes out to meet that one with Sarmatin right in his face. Tansel off the boards. Weinrich. Rink-wide pass. Another pass going across the rink. Brashear starts up one way, but the puck comes up on the left wing. Brashear goes into the corner as he shrugs off a check. Donato, or Renheim rather, fighting on it. Klee is there. Chupin's got the moves if he can get the shot away. Lachance forces him wide, and then the Russian gets it into the corner. 22 seconds left on the power play. Brashear on the wing wanted the pass to come his way. It didn't happen. It comes back to Renheim. Brashear goes in, puts the hit on. Lachance is right there too. Big poke in there as Yerofeyev and Brashear go after each other. Yerofeyev swiping. The Russians with Bouton back on the ice are back at full strength. 3.5 minutes gone on the first period. Yashin got it from Bouton. The drop pass is nice. Butseyev goes in. Upstairs off the plexi, glove down. And Lachance looks at the referee. And the official saying he hung on to that a bit too long.
Well, he got a full aerobic description of why he had done what he did. He closed his hand on the puck, and the referee in the corner went through about 10 different signals, and the sign language was really flying as he explained it to Lachance.
I thought it was some kind of little dance routine that he was working on. He was hoping maybe later he could join the cheerleaders up on the stairs, but he was just trying to indicate that he was gloving that thing and hanging on too long.
And let me confirm the fact that he couldn't join the cheerleaders, okay?
Absolutely not. They are so talented, so energetic. I don't know where they get their energy from. Non-stop dancing in between the play. The Russians now, Fokin slaps at that. It's blocked by Marinucci, but picked up by Afinogenov. Korolyuk takes a hit along the hash marks. This is one guy to watch for, number 27 for the Russians. Shot comes right in, loose puck right in front, goaltender down, and somehow that whizzed by the net as Henriksen got it in. Marinucci calls for it and gets it. Marinucci back to the blue line. The Americans giving it away with Roloff pumping it in, but Korolyuk tries to get it to the far side. That's going to be an offside as Yepinchintsev collects. I was talking about Korolyuk, number 27 for the Russians, 21 years old. He missed the first couple of games because he was suspended for going after an official in Canada where he was playing hockey.
Not the smartest thing to do. He's a bit of a character. He had a little bit of an altercation in the game last night with the Swedish goalie, Tommy Salo. But for the rest of the game, the Swedes had his number. They were after him every time he came out on the ice.
Great playmaker, good stick handler, has got lots of speed, and for his size, he'll go up against anyone.
And for his size, he doesn't care about his size.
Absolutely. One of the smallest guys in the tournament. The chance. Beers was the intended receiver. Now Beers gets it and sends it on its way. Prokopiev on the far side. Beers collects for USA. LeChance on the near side now. Return pass across the ice. The Americans throwing it up. Sullivan. Skopintsev. Skopintsev right on him. Sullivan goes back and forth. Beers now gathers, tries to find Sullivan again, who was dancing along the red line. Sullivan, some good stick handling. Goaltender made a meal of that as Brashear went in and tried to whack it in after the save was made. Morozov sticking up. He gets a little shot away, and again, the goaltenders seem to be making a meal of these easy shots going towards the goal. Terreri was all the way down. His stick was lying on the ice. LeChance fires it in there. And Belov, who played well yesterday with Yashin, got it out, and here comes Yashin. Yashin slides it back. Butseyev takes a shot. Gunning for the short side, the stick side out there. Kept in by Boughton. Yashin couldn't reach that. Weinrich looking for Donato, finds him nicely. Donato with a burst of speed. He's hooked down. McInnes let the shot go. And everyone looks to Muller for the penalty, and it doesn't come. He keeps his arm down, and the Russians now come back on the attack. This is wide open hockey with Yashin out there feeding it through. The deflection is picked up by the Americans, and Donato gives it off to Renheim. He tries to flip that in on the backside, doesn't work. Belov picks it up for Russia. A sea of white jerseys out there. There's no way he was going to go through. Weinrich dumps it in, and Krieger goes after it. Renheim traps it at the boards. Campbell put it out front. Afinogenov has got Yepinchintsev, and number 15 for the Russians is slowed down, grabbed ever so slightly. Hedekin along the boards will have to try again. Hedekin. Korolyuk goes in, comes back and chases. The pass is a long one, and that's going to go the distance at 6:46 of this first period. Still no score, USA-Russia. And things have picked up and livened up in this first period.
We've seen a few good individual puck handling skills displayed by the Russians, but the Americans' passing game is really sharp right now. Good feed from Weinrich ahead to Donato on that play. He was definitely hooked, in my opinion. The pass got across, though, to McInnes, who let it go and it went just over the net. The referee elected not to call the hook.
Sullivan beats Barkov to the draw. The Americans throw it down the boards, and Sullivan picks it up. He's got Brashear going into the corner. Brashear goes one way, the puck goes the other. Out front was Beers, and that's rattled along to Morozov, Prokopiev chases Klee. Klee, with one hand on the stick, is running out of places to go. Bashir is back there. Prokopiev and Barkov try to freeze it against the boards, and now the Russians have it. Morozov, who towers over most players out on the ice, is in the corner, and he lost it. Bashir thunders out of the corner, flips it through. Not too many guys are going to get in his way. Skopintsev is smothered. The high arm comes up from Bashir, and he goes to the bench. Chupin. Korolyuk took the shot. What a rocket from out at the blue. Terreri comes up big. Marinucci freezes or tries to freeze it along the boards. Weinrich is there, and the Russians now with Korolyuk. This is what he likes to do. Try to find a place and keep the wheels moving. There's going to be a penalty. Korolyuk gets into those situations where he moves back and forth, dipsy doodles, ducks and dives, and forces players to jump all over him just to slow him down.
It's just about the time that you want to call Korolyuk a hot dog that you just swallow those words and say, hey, this guy's got a lot of skill. He really does move with the puck nicely. The legs are always going. He tends to stick handle till the lights go out in the building, but he gets away with it a lot of the time. That's a good shot that he took on the move. Weinrich chased him around, finally put the grab on him. Holding is the call. The Americans have their first penalty of the game.
7:57 has elapsed in this first period. Still no score in this hockey game. Chupin and Henriksen doing battle. Hedekin off the boards down the ice. Krasokin starts it up with a little short pass, and the Russians now with Chupin coming through neutral ice territory. Dump and chase seems to be the name of the game. Korolyuk is still out there. He gives it to Sarmatin. Krasokin winds up, took the shot. That bounces, and the Americans now coming up quickly. Back on the attack was Plantz, and he just ran out of places to go and people to pass to. That took a deflection high. So we'll have a stoppage in play with 1:24 remaining on Weinrich's penalty.
Plant and Hendrickson go to the bench for the U.S. They're a couple of grinders. They like to throw their bodies around, and they're always out there in the short-handed situations. The power play continues to be a struggling point for the Russians. They've had 6 games now. They've only scored 2 power play goals, and the Russian teams of the past used to be feared in every situation when they were with the man advantage.
Earlier on today in the relegation round in Tampere, Slovakia beat Norway 2-1. The bottom 6 teams in this tournament are fighting to stay in the A pool. And the top 6 teams are fighting out for gold, silver, and bronze. They want to be in the final round. That comes back to Boughton. Yashin takes his time. Yashin, the return pass on the hash marks. Boughton wants it back at the blue line and gets it. The pass to Yashin, looking for the give and go. He goes in, everyone follows him. Boughton slides it over. The one-timer, Terreri got on the end of Yerofeyev's shot. Butseyev. Yashin collects. Belov is on this side. Belov went in, and that was deflected away at the last moment. Klee got in front of that. Butseyev behind the net. Lechance spins around, tries to hang on to it, and eventually puts it in his pocket. 21 seconds remaining on the power play. Weinrich still looking from the box anxiously. And Lechance did the right thing.
Lechance and Klee, another couple of good defensemen that see a lot of action on the short-handed situations. Klee all over his man. Lechance, in the end, tying the puck up behind the net. He ended up on top of the puck. The face-off will stay in the American territory.
They now move the face-off over to the near side. Barkov is there for the Russians. Sullivan will do the honors for the United States. 9 minutes, 36 seconds gone on this fast-moving first period. Quite an exciting first period. That bobbles back to the blue line, and Fokin kept it in. The Russians set it up now. Morozov races along the boards. Barkov tries to get it in front, and the shot came to Terreri. I think it was rather supposed to be a pass. Barkov at the blue line. Americans are back at full strength with Weinrich getting on the ice. Weinrich grabs that. He's on his own up there, shoots it in, and then goes to the bench. The Americans now racing in quickly. Ranheim. Roll off, let the shot go. Bouncing puck comes out. And that goes down the ice. Hedekin is being chased by Chupin. Chupin gets in there. Hedekin has problems. Morozov tries to get a handle on it. Brashear ties him up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in there. That comes back. Good pass from Afinogeyev. The shot rockets wide of the target. Morozov gets it back behind the red line. A lot of anxious looks in the corner. And eventually it bobbles out. Ranheim up to Brashear. Brashear hits the blue line, collides with Chupin. Chupin comes out second best on that one. Martin. Weinrich. Krieger. Krieger head mounting the puck intended for Campbell. Yashin picked it up. Yashin slides that in. Terreri gets it out, and that comes out as far as the blue line. Marinucci with Krieger. 3 Americans over the line, and Campbell is perfectly positioned on the post. The puck goes into the corner, eventually back to Martin. The deflection's right there in front. Krieger goes in. Skopintsev goes after him and says, "You can't do that."
Krieger's got the stick up high. He's saying, "I can do that, and I'm going to." The referee now is going to issue penalties on the play. We've been treated to good goaltending, especially in the last 3 or 4 games, and these goaltenders know what they're up against. Every time they go down and they're holding on to the puck, they're going to have people in their face. Skopintsev going to the box for Russia.
Unsportsmanlike conduct is the call on Skopintsev. I want to look at this one again. Well, that's kind of 50-50 to me. I don't like that call at all. It's just another day at the office for players at this level. And it is the kind of thing that we've come to see from Gerhard Muller, the German referee. And it's not the kind of thing I like to see. Let's get the game going. Let's keep it moving. That was innocent enough. I know the gloves were up, but it wasn't that serious. You're not saying anything, Bopes.
No, I'll wait and just help you respond to all the letters we get from the officials around the world.
That's right. The Americans on the power play. Glove down and shot around the ice. Butseyev races back. Weinrich is opposite number, pumps it in, and is shot down by Boughton. Weinrich is back with Tansel and McInnes. Pumped up off the boards. Tansel whistles that around to the far side. Yashin is there. Yashin lets it go. Butseyev plays with that for a moment. Deflects away with 1:24 remaining on the penalty. We're coming up to the 12-minute mark of this first period. Still no score.
Americans changing things up on the power play. Brashear coming off the bench now. You can bet he'll plant himself in front of the net. Donato will stay on the ice, as well as Marty McInnes. Tansel doing what he normally does on the power play, going to the defensive position, as well as Weinrich.
Bounces to the far side, and again it's shot in as Weinrich collects that in front of the net. 1:15 on the power play. The Americans coming up quickly out of the zone. Brashear breaks to the right. Tansel is on the left. Brashear gets it, slides it around, looking for McInnes. That didn't happen. McInnes almost stole that from Fokin. Fedotov running a little interference out there, and again it's golfed all the way down the ice. 55 seconds on the power play. Prokopiev killing off a few extra valuable seconds for the Russians, and then he goes right to the bench. Hedekin up one way. Donato hits the red line. Fedotov is there to pick it up and shoot it down the ice. Chupin almost got on the end of that. Terreri is there. Hedekin in the corner. Terreri Gets it away from Sarmatin. Chupin goes in, and the Americans are struggling on this power play. The Russians sending 2 players in and then quickly getting them back. The tip ends up on the far side. Shot, great save as Krieger went in, took the shot on the wrong wing, and the goaltender somehow got the skate and the pad over with 12 seconds left on the power play.
Todd Krieger again showing that he can motor. He's on the off wing, and he was in full flight when he took that shot. A good wrist shot on the move. It went off a Russian stick, so it isn't offside on the play. Krieger on the end of it. No time wasted. Good save.
"13 minutes and 9 seconds gone on this period. We still have 12 seconds, as I said, remaining on the penalty to Skopintsev. Unsportsmanlike play was the call. And this has been wide open. And so far, very enjoyable. Koroliak got it back. Fokin gets it off the plexi. And we have another whistle on the play.
Little assistance from the Russian bench. The puck went along the plexiglass, and as it skimmed along the top of the boards, it was touched by a player on the bench.
Face-off brought to this side of the ice. Koroliak is there along with Campbell. Skopintsev is ready to jump back on. Krieger is way out wide along the far boards. Krieger now gets the pass from Ranheim. Skopintsev gets back on the ice. A shot, another shot there. Save, loose puck. Krieger gets it, goaltender down. Campbell is in the crease, and the whistle blew. But what close action there.
Mikhailovsky showing the referee what he feels has been done to him. He just took a bit of a baseball swing with his stick. You can only assume he's blaming Jim Campbell for that. Again, we see on the move the shot coming from Todd Krieger on the off wing. Campbell does, in fact, on the replay, very clearly baseball swing. Mikhailovsky in his goal. Mikhailovsky's flat on his back. The defenseman next to him is down. Campbell's in the crease. The face-off comes back outside.
Play comes out of the zone now for the face-off. Fokin slides it across the rink. The Russians tapping it up. Not a great pass on that situation as both teams struggle for the moment to string the good passes together. Fokin to Barkov. Barkov, rink-wide pass. Sullivan goes after his man. That goes off a skate and goes over the boards. Coming up to the 14-minute mark of this first period. Still no score in this one. This is live on Eurosport. The final round, Russia, USA. Earlier today, the host nation, Finland, was beaten by Canada 1-0 on a late goal by Friesen for Canada. What a hockey game that was. It went right down to the final buzzer with the Finns taking their goaltender out and applying endless amounts of pressure, but it wasn't to be.
Paul, it isn't real relevant to the game, but 3 times in this period we've seen the puck go over onto the Russian bench. They haven't returned one of those pucks yet. I don't know if they're collecting them for practice or what.
Maybe there's a puck shortage in Russia or something. Morozov off the side of the net, still not away. Prokopiev, Fokin went in and then double back. Morozov slides it in through the circle, looking for the churn pass from Barkov. Barkov now goes to the bench, and that comes along the boards. Fokin is hit by Brashear, and he goes down hard. Thrown to the far side. Sullivan, Skopintsev off the boards. Weinrich. Americans and the Russians changing on the fly. Martin alone on the left side, gives it up to Hendrickson. Marinucci. Koroliak tries to move forward, and look how close it is in there. Marinucci stormed over the blue line, but Hendrickson was trapped offside. Everyone gathered within a couple of feet of each other. 1 minute it's wide open, the next minute it's really close checking.
Small cluster of players coming together right at the blue line. Hendrickson just offside as he had bumped together with 2 Russians. Big hit by Brashear on Fokin earlier. That's that 600-pound line that was out on the ice again, and I don't mean sterling or UKL pounds, if you want to call them that. That's 600 pounds in weight. Sullivan, Brashear, and Beers, 190, 210, and 200. You add it up, you got 600 pounds out there. And all 3 of them are 6 feet 2 inches tall. It's a pretty hefty line.
Broken stick there by Weinrich as he just threw his shaft down onto the ice in disgust. He wanted to drive that into the zone. He's got a stick, he's back. Korolyuk throws it open, throws it onto an open wing. Shupin was dumped. He was supposed to be the receiver on the end of that one. Skopintsev races back to the blue line. The puck sitting on the blue line is picked up. Korolyuk shakes off a check, goes on to the boards. Weinrich, who dumped him before, takes it away and gets it up. The Americans coming down quickly with Hendrickson trying to push it through. Long shot on the target, and the offside whistle blows, and the officials unanimously say take it down into USA territory.
Korolyuk showing those stick handling skills again, but he tends to stick handle himself away from the attacking goal. I don't know, some of the time it's like he's just out there putting on a little clinic for everybody. I can just see him as a kid. The rest of the team is listening to the coach at one end of the ice, and he's fooling around with a puck at the other end of the ice. Probably that kid that used to annoy the coach.
I wonder if they open up the boards at the end of the rink, if you go out onto the street and start heading for Helsinki downtown.
He might have been the guy that skated by us on our way into the rink today.
Somebody's got to tell him to stop sometime. Yashin is in there. Donato is there too. That goes into the American corner. Roloff loses out. Yashin and Belov. Butseyev, the 3rd member of the line, goes down, tries to get it up, and over to Yashin. He does. Roloff has got him in the bear hug, brings him down. Butseyev is in the crease, in the net.
Well, you're going to have to go a long way to find closer coverage than that. Hedekin and Butseyev were side by side against the boards, locked in battle. They chased each other all the way to the front of the net, stride for stride. Again, the bodies come together. The 2 of them end up right inside the goal.
Meanwhile, behind the net, there was another battle going on with Yashin being smothered and eventually brought down. Faceoff comes out of the zone. 3 minutes, 59 seconds left on the period. The Americans with Roloff getting that. Hedekin to the far side. Butseyev goes in hard, and that bobbles down to Yerofeyev. McInnes after him. Yashin gets away from Roloff, but gives it to the Americans. Hedekin again with Belov on his tail. Goaltender slides that to Yerofeyev. Butseyev off the boards. Yashin has got the speed. Tansel tries to stay with him and get the hook in there. Belov! Going to be a penalty. Yashin was hooked. Belov had a golden opportunity to get the first goal of the hockey game, but Yashin was hooked all the way down the ice.
Chris Tansel trying to help out the defense was the player coming back to chase Yashin. Yashin with the long strides was starting to pull away, and Tansel put the hook in.
Well, the stick definitely in there, but the pass comes over to Belov. And we didn't see it there, but he didn't get the shot away. The pictures here are coming from Finnish television. The words coming from Eurosport. $16:42 rather gone on the period. The Americans with a man down for the next 2 minutes. Barkov unable to trap it. Sullivan eventually rags it for a while and then gets it in. Prokopiev down the left side. Prokopiev, nice little pass over. Barkov lets it go. Prokopiev took a swipe at it. That comes back to the top of the circle. Fokin lets it go. Just missing the target. The chance sends it along the boards. Fedotov is there in a hurry. The Russians applying lots of pressure. Barkov tried to get it over. Eventually it got to Morozev. Fokin to the far side. Fokin with that big shot. Still Fokin. Exchanges with Fedotov. Fedotov let it go. Another bite of the cherry. Gets it over. Fokin. Fedotov wants it back here. Fedotov now back at the blue line. Fokin came over to exchange positions again and got the shot away as he was halfway across the blue line. Terreri was right there with the glove.
Well, it's about time the Russians started getting their power play in order. They have struggled, and this time they've got things set up very nicely. They moved the puck around. They had a couple of good shots. That's a good glove save by Chris Terreri.
The good thing about this for the American goalie is he could see it all the way. The camera from behind the net confirmed that. Even though there was some traffic there, he had a good sight of it.
And because the shot was just off the ice, he could cleanly get it with the catching glove. He didn't have to try and kick it out because on his right-hand side, Morozov was wide open waiting for a rebound.
55 seconds on the penalty to Tansel. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the period. Donato goes out there to face off against Yashin. The Americans taking a lot of time getting their players out on the ice. Henriksen now takes over from Donato at center. Poked back nicely. Balchin with a chance to shoot. Elects to try to get it across the ice. That doesn't work, but Yerofeyev trapped it, but according to the officials, it was just outside the blue line. He brought it in again, so the offside whistle blows. 47 seconds left on the American penalty.
On that opportunity, the Russians had it set up back at the blue line again, but they elected to try and force the pass through. The Americans had the box well constructed, and that wasn't really the right place for that pass to go.
Yashin still out on the ice. Henriksen and Yashin tie each other up. Yerofeyev got it up. Yashin is there. Belov is working on this side. Terreri has to bang it back. Not a good clearance by him. Butseyev gets the puck now. He's got Yashin on the wing. Sends it back in. Belov will be there. Belov got hold of that. Flips it back to Yashin. Yerofeyev is back at the blue line. Yashin elects to go into the corner. 15 seconds remaining on the power play. Yashin fakes the shot. Yerofeyev is 60 feet away at the blue line. Yashin lets the wrist shot go. And Terreri, who goes down when the puck goes up, comes up with a save. And bodies come together with 5 seconds left on the power play. And the noise level meter comes up on the scoreboard screen.
That's what an NHL wrist shot looks like. Yashin with a long stick doesn't take the big wind-up unless he's got a lot of space. But he doesn't waste any time getting that quick wrist shot off, and it's a bullet.
Face-off in the corner. Driven down the ice. And Tansel gets back on the ice and immediately goes to the USA bench. Rink-wide pass. Intercepted there by LeChance. Krasovkin to Korolyuk. A giveaway there at the top of the circle. Pokes right in through the crease. And the Americans now with the puck in deep. Campbell with a minute to go in the period. Krasovkin ties him up. Chupin ties up Krieger. Everyone has a man out there. Skopintsov backs off with Brashear buzzing around. And eventually it's whistled down. 50 seconds left on the period.
Well, you would have expected the Americans to come out and play the body, but they're certainly getting it as good as they're giving it right now. The Russians are playing very aggressive hockey. Tough along the boards. Krasotkin taking his man out. Krieger dumped by Chupin as he tried to come in and help out.
Krieger had just about enough when that whistle blew.
Brashear normally plays with Sullivan and Beers. Jeff Jackson behind the U.S. bench has changed things up a little. Brashear out on the ice right now with Campbell and Krieger.
Morozov picks up the puck. 3 Russians coming down on 3 Americans. Morozov stick handling through, almost got by LeChance, and LeChance ended up putting him into the crossbar, or the goalpost rather. And the officials get in there to separate the two.
Scott LeChance sporting a nice black eye, letting the opposition know that there are more black eyes where that one came from. Tough going around the front of the net, and on every whistle there are players giving each other that one extra little word of wit or an extra little tap.
35 seconds remaining on the period as that comes over to the boards. McInnes goes after it. Morozov goes for a skate, tries to get it up the middle to Prokopiev. Off the plexi to McInnes. Fokin, nice pass up the middle. Prokopiev was a stride away from it. Martin with 15 seconds now on the period. Tries to get it up to McInnes. Barkov now has an opportunity. Barkov works in on the side. Tansel threw it away. Couple of seconds remaining. Fokin get it over to the far side, and the buzzer goes to end a scoreless first period. Good end-to-end hockey. Some good goaltending from both goaltenders.
For 2 teams that played hockey last night, they've come out here with a lot of energy. A good-paced, fast first period.
So no score after 20 minutes of hockey as we take a look at the final moves here by Barkov, and Tansel going down, getting the stick in just before the buzzer went to end 20 minutes of good solid hockey. It was physical, very physical, fast. At times it was wide open. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the second period live on Eurosport.
If I give you a clean sheet, what will you write? Will it be poetry or just plain English? If you have something to say, say it now, for soon my sheet will be filled, and this chapter will end, sure as the next will begin, with a clean sheet, new authors, and a million possibilities.
We have a late breaking update.
Back live to the Ice Hockey World Championships with Skoda.
Welcome back. Paul Ferguson here with Richard Beaupre. We're moments away from the live action, but right now we're taking a look at some of the highlights of that scoreless first period between the Russians and the USA. I thoroughly enjoyed that period. There were no goals. We haven't seen that many goals today. In fact, we've seen 1 goal. So if you're watching this game or these games to see a lot of pucks go in the net, I'm afraid you're going to be a little disappointed. But the standard of hockey is still pretty high out there. The close checking, you got to appreciate the pressure these players are under when guys are draped all over them or right in their faces. They're doing what they have to do to defend against each other, and it really is close checking. This one is at times is very wide open. The Russians are out on the ice right now, and we're waiting for the Americans. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they didn't get their wake-up call, but the Russian 6 are set. Mikhailovsky has played well, and a lot of people thought that he was going to be the weak link in the chain, but he's come up big several times.
He certainly has. His opposition, Chris Terreri, has just come onto the ice. Terreri had 10 saves in the first period. Mikhailovsky had 10 saves in the first period. Even in that department, no goals scored and 4 minutes each in penalties, so it's even all the way through right now.
Muller, the referee, calls the teams together. The Americans still seem to have all the time in the world out there as the referee wants to get this one underway. Jackson behind the bench. Dmitriev for the Russians. And we're ready to get set for the live action here in the Hartwell Arena. Another great crowd in this building. enjoying another superb hockey game in the final round of the World Ice Hockey Championships. Well, the timekeeper seems to be happy. And here we go with the second period. Russians winning that with Barkov getting it back to Fedotov. Barkov moving from right to left, right up the middle. And Prokopiev uncharacteristically let that puck go off his stick. That would have been a breakaway in the opening 10 seconds of the hockey game. Fedotov can't trap that at the blue line. Mikolovsky steers that back for Fokin. Brashear is right in there. Long pass up for Prokopiev. Slides it through. Barkov lets the shot go. And that goes upstairs. Goaltender got a piece of it.
The Americans came out of their dressing room and just sort of wandered onto the ice. It was only Terreri that came out with a good head of steam. The rest of the players just sort of wandered out there. They didn't really seem to have much desire to even be out there. The puck has been dropped. The Russians have had two good opportunities. Prokopiev should have had that pass from Barkov. That would have been a breakaway.
Very quick whistle on the play as that went out of the glove. Belov dropped on the far side. Ranheim on this side for USA. Krieger goes up. The pass goes off the back of Ranheim's skate. Campbell trying to set him up. Krieger let the shot go. Roloff unable to trap it. Sends it back into the zone as the Americans, Ranheim and Campbell, come out quickly to avoid the offside. Another puck off the plexi. Ranheim trapped it. Yashin is there. Butseyev backhands it through neutral ice. Hedekin to the far side of the rink. Krieger's there, but Belov is right on his tail. This is a fast skating start for the Russians. Yashin, Belov on this side. It gets by both of them, and Ranheim puts the puck up to Krieger. Krieger pushes it through. Yerofeyev brings him down. There's going to be a penalty. Totally unnecessary. The puck was going one way. Krieger was going the other way. Yerofeyev gets called on the play at 1:31.
Not a very smart penalty to take in that situation. Yerofeyev had plenty of support behind him. The puck had gotten past him. All he had to do was just keep his body between his goal and Krieger, and that's all he would have needed to do, but he got the stick in. Tripping is the call. Coaches are not happy with penalties taken like that one.
McInnes set for the face-off. Butseyev skates through the circle and comes back in for the drop. The kick back by Butseyev is eventually grabbed by the Americans. Tansel, the forward, almost gave it away to Korolyuk. Korolyuk going after his man, putting a big hit on Brashear, is back behind the net. That comes along the boards. Donato slides it in. McInnes, Donato allowed to walk right in. And the puck eventually frozen under Fedotov, who slid out and smothered it, forcing the face-off.
Good play by Fedotov, just trying to keep his body between the two Americans. McInnes and Donato looking for give and goes. Donato didn't have the pass back to McInnes, so he went into the center with the puck. Couldn't decide whether he wanted to shoot or not. In the end, puck was smothered. The face-off will stay in the Russian zone.
Over in Tampere, another game being played. Latvia hammering the Germans 7-0 after only 38 minutes. Tansel, Donato. No movement at all from the Americans. Donato now goes down to the hash marks, gets it back. Tansel lets a shot go. The save is made, and Sarmatsin gets it out. Trupin races down. Terreri will get there first, and he gives it right to the Russian. The shot comes in, and Tansel stopped it from going at the goal. Return pass to the far side of the rink. 1 minute and 4 seconds now on the power play. Tansel hits his own blue line, gives it up, and the Americans get it in. Brashear Goes into the corner, gets it behind the net. Krosokin is after it. That comes all the way back to the blue line. Weinrich to Tansel. Tansel with a lot of traffic. And somehow that squeezed through all the bodies. He went right by the net. Another shot comes in. Goaltender down. Yashin races into the corner. Can't get it. Krosokin ties his man up. And the pass to Tansel goes beyond Weinrich. He quickly gets it back over to the far side. Donato is trailing the drop pass. Goaltender made the save as the shot came in with no steam on it. Skopintsov smothered that and then lost it. The Americans applying all sorts of pressure out there. That pass was intended for Tansel in the high slot area, but it was batted down and cleared down the ice.
Both teams need a change. Now McInnes and Donato get over to the bench for the Americans. Brashear as well.
Just a couple of seconds on Yerofeyev's tripping penalty. Now he jumps on the ice. Another penalty successfully killed off. Yerofeyev quickly into the action. Prokopiev pounds it in. Terreri out to stop it, and the Americans getting away from Barkov. Campbell on the wing. Balton in front of his own goal. Back to Davidov. Prokopiev tidies things up. Rink-wide pass to Morozov. Morozov against Krieger. Morozov has got the big stride. He's really deceptive. I can assure you he is moving. What a move there. A mountain of a man moving against Lachance. A chance now for the Russians, but then they lose it in the circle. Back on the attack, Campbell. Campbell unable to get around his man, but somehow got it to the far side. Prokopiev working alone, loses out to Lachance. Barkov goes to the bench, and both teams change on the fly out there. Klee shot it down, intending that for Renheim. It missed everyone on the ice, and the icing whistle is blown.
With the team skating like this, the heads really have to be up because the passing is getting better, but both teams defensively are still stepping right up. Lachance stepped up and made sure he took Prokopiev out of the play. The favor was returned to the Americans as they made that long pass. Fedotov stepped right up for the Russians. Those passes have got to be spot on, and guys have got to have their heads up.
You know what I've just noticed is that we've had 4 minutes and 33 seconds of this second period, and people are still pouring into the arena. They don't let people in when the play is going. It's like when you go to the opera. They don't let you go when the guys are singing on stage. And I think that's good, because if you're late, why should you disturb the enjoyment of other people who are trying to watch the hockey game? So you have to get to your seat, or at least wait until the whistle blows before you can eventually get to your seat. Pass up the middle by Fokin goes all the way down the ice, and icing is the call.
Paul, I accept your comment there, but do you think for 1 minute that this crowd doesn't take the opportunity to have an extra quick beer while they're out there?
Well, they do, but then they don't get to see the game while it's going on. Another big crowd in this beautiful Hartwell Arena. Lots of action in the corner. This guy really does take a beating. Fokin plays so hard for 60 minutes of every game. Yashin in your pictures now, ready for the face-off. Still no score in this hockey game. The Americans with Lachance getting the shot on the target. The save was kicked over to the far side. Along the boards, Yashin unable to move it out. Balton bangs it off the boards. That'll go all the way down the ice. Icing is the call again. 5:22 gone on the second period. Still no score in this hockey game.
This really is a huge game, though, for both of these teams because it's their second game played in the second round. It's now their 7th game of the tournament, and the Russians have got 4 points right now with that victory that they came up with last night. The Canadians, the Swedes, they're going to be watching this one closely and probably pulling for the Americans because the Americans came up with 2 points in their game over the Czechs. This would give the Americans 4, but it would keep the Russians at 4 points. So it's going to tighten things right up if the U.S. are to beat the Russians in this game.
Sullivan pushing that through Yashin's skates. Sullivan muscles and wrestles along the boards. Beers at the side of the net. Beers hasn't seen a lot of action in this hockey game. Lachance grabs it on the far side, but it has to come out of the zone. Yerofeyev stopped that. Hits the blue line, gets it up to Belov. Belov takes a shove from behind, but got it into the zone. Butseyev in there quickly. Lachance with Belov right on his tail. Beers loses out, and Skopintsev up along to the red line, and the two-line whistle blows. The coaches now and then juggling the lines out there, putting on different players at different times, trying to make things happen.
Well, it's optional, at least for the American bench, but the Russians just got to do what they've got to do to keep fresh and healthy players out there. Yashin is seeing action with a couple of different lines. He's out with Butseyev and Belov 1 minute, and the next minute you see him out there with Prokopiev or somebody else.
We hardly ever see Yepinchintsev, and Davidov has only seen limited action. Afinogenov goes in hard in the corner every time he's on the ice. He's one of their fastest skaters. He really does put on a show. But again, he's another one who doesn't get a lot of ice time out there, and it's hard to work out why, because some big guns are out of the lineup. Petrenko and Nikolishin, and I would have thought they would have looked to their bench to keep the guys like Yashin and Belov and Korolyuk fairly fresh throughout the game. Another whistle on the play, 6.5 minutes gone, and this period started very quickly, and it's kind of slowed down, and we're seeing a lot of short bursts out there, but nothing really happening. Lots happening in this massive stadium. Davidov races to this side, but it's grabbed by Yepinchintsev. Well, the coach must have heard me, because he's out on the ice now for the Russians. Yepinchintsev going after Hedekin. Ranheim on the left wing. Hits the red line, comes over to center. Ranheim slides it back. Krieger going in. Lets the shot go. And he was going to let it go earlier, and I think he was surprised by the space he had out there.
Oh, he had enough room to drive a bus through that opening in the middle.
A golden opportunity for the Americans to break the deadlock here. Davidov with Boughton. Davidov quickly up to Yashin, back to Boughton. Davidov on the wing. Yepinchintsev finds an opening, sends it back to Rary, missed it. Korolyuk wastes no time getting it in front. Yashin was there, and they just couldn't keep it going. Fedotov being chased by Beers. Long pass on the boards, no one there for the Americans to pick it up. Fedotov has it back in his own zone again. Prokopiev. Morozov is waltzing along the blue line. Prokopiev is dumped by Roloff. The Americans now in their own zone, started up on the far side. Roloff up the center. Wrong pass. Henriksen let the shot go. Fedotov will go after him. The whistle had blown, and Fedotov was taken out of the play by Marinucci before he could get to the shooter.
Two-line offside call was why the whistle was blown. Players not hearing the whistle probably, as a couple of altercations occurred right after the whistle had blown. Krieger on that opportunity earlier had a lot of space, a lot of time, faked the shot the first time. Prokopiev going the other way for the Russians. Roloff right there to sit him down.
Faceoff will be just inside the blue line where that two-line pass originated. Sullivan against Yashin, and if Yashin wasn't in shape at the end of the season with the Ottawa Senators, he certainly will be at the end of this competition. He's taken just about every second shift out there, and it's a lot of credit to the big guy, because he's playing some strong hockey. Butseyev Belov with Yashin, a 2-on-2 situation. The shot goes way upstairs as it deflects off of Lachance's stick. Face-off will be between the blue line and the top of the circle in the American zone. 8:27 gone on the second period.
Good battle going on in the crowd. That Souvenir is just below us, and you can see 3 or 4 people with their heads down. They look like ducks looking in the water for a little fish or something. They're all under the seats right now fighting for that puck.
Chupin from the face-off, trying to dig it back. Donato in the face-off too. Weinrich. Prokopiev, the one-timer, goes to the side of the net, out front. Chupin let it rock, but couldn't hit the target. Krasokin sends it in, and the Russians come out of the zone to avoid the offside. Donato on the far side. Prokopiev intercepts that, takes a hit from Tansel. Sarmatin. Martin along the boards, and Prokopiev having problems. Donato and Prokopiev tie each other up as the whistle blows. Everyone looks over at the referee. Donato says, huh? How about the call? Mueller unmoved by the gestures from the American captain.
I think he blew the whistle because he was probably in his mind avoiding a potential serious injury. A couple of players were down along the boards. The puck was there. More bodies were coming into the play, and he just blew the whistle a bit quickly. You could see the puck, but he didn't want to see an injury occur on that play.
Along the boards, the official trying to get out of the way. A high flip. Hendrickson chasing Davidov. Boughton gets it up. Yapintsev head manning it. There's no one there to pick it up. The Americans moving along with Roloff on the backhand. Davidov away from Marinucci. And that goes down the ice. Roloff goes back. It crosses the red line. 9:49 gone on this second period, and things are slowing right down here. It's difficult for these teams to get any kind of flow going in this hockey game. We haven't had a goal, and maybe that's what the game needs to step it up a gear.
Well, the puck hasn't been able to find its way into the middle of the ice for a while, and that is obviously going to slow the play down. It's all been bumping and grinding along the boards, and it's hard to hear the boards with this noise of this crowd and the music, but we can assure you that the boards are thumping because the players are hitting from both sides.
Barkov against Campbell, behind the net. Fedotov, Prokopiev, quickly out into neutralized territory. Klee sends it right back in. Boughton, or Fokin rather. Fedotov. Krieger went in quickly. Prokopiev, rink-wide pass, and the Russians spreading it out in this large ice service. Nice little tip-up and a chance now for the Russians. The shot going upstairs. Prokopiev making things happen out there.
Prokopiev's got 6 points in this tournament. He has been flying. One of the guys who's taken it upon himself to become a team leader. Scott Lachance being a team man there, taking the shot for the boys. It hit him in the hand and went up into the crowd. Puck laid off nicely by Prokopiev. That could have been dangerous.
Ten minutes, 17 seconds gone on this period. Sullivan against Yashin, and the officials say, come on, get into the face-off circle. Bashir changes wings. Sullivan wins the draw, and the Americans just shoot it out. Bashir, Sullivan, Beers is right out front. Yerofeyev took a swipe at it. Gutseyev waits for a little support, slows it down on the far side. Klee is there. The Russians now bringing it into the zone. That comes out front. Sullivan picks it up. Brashear on the left wing. Boughton went over, tried to lay the check on him. That didn't happen, and the two square off on the blue line. Brashear has lost his helmet. lost his stick. He's still got his skates and his socks on. The shot went in. The goaltender went down. And things happening all over the ice out there.
A lot of the attention was on Brashear as he'd lost a glove, a stick, his helmet. But the play continued on. Yashin, Belov, Butseyev still trying to put something behind Chris Terreri. Terreri is down, and that's not a good sign for the Americans.
He's their #1 goaltender. John Blue, 31-year-old American, playing in Austin, is the backup. Let's look at this again.
Yashin with the big wrist shot right off the helmet of Terreri. It didn't take him long to hit the ice.
Quick whistle by the officials to stop the play. A rocket of a shot upstairs, and Terreri is on his knees now, getting a good round of applause from everyone in the building. I think the first question is, where are you? Or who are you? He looks to be okay, and that's a good sign for the Americans because he's played so well.
Trainer probably asked him, do you remember the last time he got hit in the head with a puck? He answered no, so he said, okay, we'll carry on.
He looks to be okay. The trainer goes off the ice. The face-off will be in the American zone. 10:57 gone on the second period. Still no score in this hockey game. We were spending most of our time there looking at Brashear, who was robbed of his helmet, his stick. As I said, everything but his skates and socks remained. And really, he was looking more like an American football player the way he was throwing his body around out there. McInnes now starts it up. Prokopiev goes after him and gets the puck out of the zone. Chupin. Prokopiev. Weinrich takes him off the play and delivers the pass up to Tansel. Through center now. Donato drops it back. Skopintsev. Prokopiev. Tansel in there too. Kratsokin. Donato in the far corner. Still trying to move it. Kicks it up to McInnes. McInnes with Donato cruising out front. Sarmatin looking to get the stick in. Now he gets it in. Tries to get McInnes away from the boards. Tap him up. Skopintsev slides the pass forward. And here comes Chupin. Chupin fakes the shot. And Weinrich, who is so steady, steers him into the boards, picks up the puck. McInnes unable to get on the end of that as it goes down the ice. The Americans and the Russians go for a change. Belton quickly gets it on the left side. That comes up to Yepinchintsev, but it's a two-line pass. For a moment there, the team started playing hockey all over again. There was a bit of movement, and there was a bit of time between whistles.
The Americans have stopped dumping the puck in. They're trying to carry it. The Russians are stacking things up at the blue line. And the U.S. would probably be further ahead to try dumping it again, getting two guys going in after it.
Face-off just inside the Russian zone. Hendrickson got it back. Roll off at the red line. Gets it to the far side. Marinucci hit by Boughton, but Hendrickson moves in quickly. Davidov tries to press him against the woodwork. Davidov with the stick in there. Marinucci and Hendrickson kicking it along, moving along now. And the Americans working hard in the corner. Plant unable to get it out front. It eventually came. Hendrickson tried to get it by Davidov. And there's going to be another penalty as Davidov is dropped in his zone. Hooking is the call.
Davidov has only had 2 or 3 shifts in the game. He's got plenty of energy. He gets his stride going, but he's hooked down very quickly. Not the most serious of hooks I've ever seen, but the referee has sent Dan Plant to the penalty box, and that's all that matters as far as the Russians are concerned. They'll have the man advantage.
7 minutes and 18 seconds left. Face-off just outside the Russian zone. They'll have the man advantage for 2 minutes. Barkov against Sullivan. That comes back to the American defense. Cleared all the way down the ice by Lachance. Fedotov. Barkov goes one way, Fedotov up the middle. Eventually over to number 16, Barkov, who gets away from Sullivan. Prokopiev was cruising in front, ends up in the corner and gets the puck. Prokopiev spun around. Klee gets in there in a hurry, and it's shot down the ice. Fedotov back deep, Barkov back again. Sullivan stays with him as Barkov now comes up the middle. Barkov has got a lot of moves, but that wasn't one of them. The shot went in and was stopped by Klee and cleared down the ice, so the Russians change their line. Fedotov and Vokin stay on there. Fedotov comes through neutralized territory, gives it over to Butseyev. Butseyev drags it along to the hash marks, back to Fedotov. That's nice! Shot comes in. First it was Belov, and then it was Yashin. Nicely set up by the Russians. Tereri was there.
Tereri really hasn't had a good touch of the puck since he took that shot in the head from Yashin, and that was the best way to clear the cobwebs. Two good, quick saves.
The clearance is not a good one. Fedotov with Donato hooking him along the boards, took it into the corner. Belov is there. Belov working out from the side. The poke check comes out. Butseyev and Fedotov collided. Yashin looking to get it over to Belov. Belov gets the stick in there at the side of the net. It's Tereri who smothers the puck and forces the face-off. 21 seconds on Plant's penalty.
Weinrich finding it tough going in the corner. Belov and Yashin working on him. A little tip there. Tereri with good reflexes makes the first save, and an even better save on the rebound off the stick of Fedotov.
Good reactions from the American goaltender. The puck stays in the zone. Yashin has a break on the Russian bench, but it won't be long, I'm sure, before he's back on the ice. Chupin against Sullivan. Sarmatin. Skopintsev. Sarmatin. Good pass back to the blue line to Krasokin. Krasokin and Skopintsev. Krasokin provides a little pick. The shot comes in. Stopped right in there, and Tereri moves to the side. Skopintsev tries to get it to the side of the net. Sarmatin back along the boards. Plant is back on the ice as things get a little physical back there. The Americans are at full strength as the whistle blows.
Ken Klee and Scott Lachance continue to work hard in the penalty-killing situations. They've been out there, they've been off, and back out there again during the penalty that they've just killed off. Shot coming from the point. Tereri again, he's got good quick legs. He really does use the pads well, and as soon as he's down, he's right back up on his feet.
Campbell against Chupin. The American being told to leave. Krieger gets in now for USA. Won by the Russian. That comes over. Skopintsev lets a shot go, and that deflects off a pad, and Renheim gives it to Weinrich. Campbell goes in front of the net. Weinrich gets it up on the wing to Renheim. Renheim has Krieger in the corner. Can't get it to him. Campbell eventually does. Krieger tries to get it out front. That's taken away, but stolen right back by Campbell. The shot wide of the target and hits the boards, bounces out into neutralized territory. Weinrich being shadowed by Chupin. Renheim couldn't hold it. Weinrich slides it up to the Russian defense. Skopintsev at the 15.5-minute mark got it up, and the Russians working in with Barkov to Prokopiev. Back to Barkov as he stormed in there and took it away from Koroliak, but now it's back and the shot comes in. Barkov got a piece of it. Fedotov has it in neutralized territory and the Russians come out of the zone. A lot of long drives bouncing off legs and skates out there. Fedotov hit by Weinrich, but Morozov gets it up and slides it back. Great save by the goaltender. Yashin at the side of the net muscles Martin out of the picture. Morozov is standing there looking for the puck to come up, but Tansel is down and on top of it. Yashin was there too.
Shots on net in the first period were 10 apiece. The Russians out shooting the Americans so far in the second period, but Chris Terreri is having a good period for himself in the American goal. That shot was a good one coming from the point. Fedotov taking the check from Weinrich earlier. That shot from the point was moving. Terreri got the arm up on that. Big blast through traffic as well.
He didn't see that until the very last moment, I'm sure. Good reactions from the American goaltender here in the second period. 3 minutes, 51 seconds left on the period. Still no score in this hockey game. This is a lot like the game played between Canada and Finland. We didn't get a goal until the 16-minute mark in the third period in that one. Roloff. It eventually came from the stick of Friesen for Canada, and they won the hockey game 1-0. This could be a similar situation. Yerofeev loses that on the blue line. Hedekin goes along the boards. Donato takes a hit and goes down. Belton was right there to provide the check. And the Russians now moving quickly. Yashin off his skates. Hedekin collects behind his own net and comes up. Donato, lots of space, hooked out of the play by Butseyev. Tansel is there to pick up the puck, tries to get it back to Donato and does. McInnes was perfectly positioned in the circle and now he's smothered. McInnes is out there, can't get it. McInnes does get scores! Whoa, you can see Donato looking for him for about 8 seconds. McInnes was roving, and eventually he grabbed it. And the scoreless draw is no longer a scoreless draw at 17:02. The Americans are in the lead.
Marty McInnes with a good individual play to use the glove, get control of the puck, and then put it into the net. But the hard work was done by Donato and Tansel. Good pick set up. Donato and Tansel with a good understanding of where each other are. They just kept grinding it out until they moved out of the corner with the puck. Marty McInnes wide open in front. The puck is off a stick. He pulls it out of the air with his glove very quickly and puts it in the back of the net.
.17:02, the time of that American goal. Yerofeev avoids a hit by Hendrickson. He came in like a raging bull. Yerofeev just ducked out of the way, and that shot down the ice. Klee for USA. Puts it back into the corner. LeChance up to Marinucci. Marinucci to Hendrickson. Hendrickson trying to find Plant. Plant now races in there. Afanaganov, who's been sitting on the bench for most of this period, going after his man. A chance now as the Americans buzz around the side of the net. Hendrickson was waiting for that to come out as Marinucci was being held up at the top of the crease, and the whistle blows from the German referee. Another penalty coming up. The indication is clear, holding the stick.
A goal can really turn the momentum of a game. The Americans now coming right at the Russian net again after Marty McInnes has put the go-ahead goal into the net. Marinucci right in the face of Mikulovsky.
Yerofeev holding the stick in front of the net. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining on this period. Power play situation for the Americans as they lead it 1-0.
Second penalty of the period for the Russians. It's the second penalty for Yerofeev.
Chupin Can only get it back to Tansel. Chupin comes up now. Chupin has Sarmatin. Chupin goes in. Lets his shot go. Great save by Terreri. How did he get that? A 2-on-1 situation with Chupin coming up. Sarmatin was the decoy, and the shot was going for that top corner.
Well, if the sport of baseball ever becomes a hit in Finland, Terreri will probably be a first-round draft choice. Did he ever pick that one out of the air? A lot of time, a breakdown at the blue line, the Russian blue line that is. Tansel playing the defensive spot. Couldn't win out on the puck. The Russians were on the move, 2 of them going down the ice. Chupin's got a lot of time. He's also got options. He elects to take the shot. It's a good shot, and it's an even better save by Terreri.
Face-off in the American zone with less than 2 minutes now on the period. Weinrich leaves that for Krieger. The Americans with the man advantage out there. Yerofeyev still in the penalty box, remember, for holding the stick. He's got a minute and a half on his penalty. Roll off right up the middle. Little tap over. Krieger rattles that around the boards on the far side. The Americans try to close it down and get it in. Shot from Renheim, rockets off the boards. Renheim looks into the corner. He's got Roloff clear back of the blue. Now Roloff moved up, and the Russians pick it up. Sarmatin is saying that his stick was being held. He eventually went to the bench.
Well, Krieger had to take Sarmatin's stick out of his equipment.
McInnes gets away from Barkov. McInnes gets it over on the wing. The long clearance goes in. 1 minute remaining on the period. Prokopiev, rather, gives it to Fokin. Brashear is back trying to defend against the speedy Prokopiev. Donato, rink-wide pass, intending that for Brashear. Brashear eventually picks it up. Barkov is trying to bring him down, and does, to the side of the net. The Americans now in control with 30 seconds to go on the period, and that's deflected out of the zone. Quickly brought up to the red line by Hedekin. He knows he's running out of time out there. Hedekin, a rink-wide pass. That'll get out of the zone again. A long clearance up all the way down the ice, and it's icing as the Russians and Yerofeyev get back to full strength.
12 seconds remaining, but this is a critical face-off. Every situation is an important one now. On that call, the face-off coming all the way down into the American territory. They'll want to make sure that they've got the right guys on the ice.
Non-stop action here in the second period of this hockey game. Both teams went into a close checking period during this period, but it seems to really have opened up here in the closing stages.
The veteran Mike Sullivan will take the face-off. He's letting Scott LeChance and Bob Beers know where he wants them to go.
Yashin is there for the Russians. Yashin trying to work his way through. LeChance over to the far side. Sullivan breaks up, and we have just a couple of seconds remaining on the period. There goes the buzzer to end the second period. So after a scoreless first period, McInnes breaks the scoreless tie at 17:02 to make it 1-0 for the Americans.
Great period for Chris Terreri and the American net. The Russians have had plenty of shots. It doesn't matter how many opportunities you get, it's how many you score on. And McInnes has scored the only goal of this game.
Well, we still have a third period to come, so please stick around. We're going to be back after the break.
Live to the Ice Hockey World Championships with Bauer.
Welcome back to the Hartwell Arena. The teams are coming out onto the ice, and we're almost set to start the third and final period. This is the final round here in Helsinki. The top 6 teams doing battle. Right now it's Russia against USA, and the goal by McInnes at 17:02 has put the Americans into the lead after a scoreless first period.
The Russians have outshot the U.S. 23-16 after 2 periods of play. And Jeff Jackson, between periods, I'm sure, is drilling it into the heads of the players. We need to complete a 60-minute performance here. The third period has been the trouble point for the Americans. They were up 4-1 over the Czechs going into the third period, gave up 2 quick goals, and the Czechs made that a good finish. It was 4-3 victory for the Americans as they held on. But the U.S. have given up 11 third period goals in this tournament, and they need to knock that one on the head right now.
Muller is set. Barkov and Sullivan in the face-off circle. Barkov gets it back to Fedotov deep in the corner. The Russians moving from left to right. Morozov upset on the play by Brashear. Lachance slaps it back in. Mikhailovsky stopped it behind the net. And the long pass out is intercepted. The Americans will bring it right back into the zone. Sullivan against Barkov. Another whistle on the play as the Americans jump the gun on the blue line. 26 seconds gone, and as we've said so many times before, a quick change out there. These guys have been playing a long time. It's a long season, and this is a long tournament. Some of them started back in August, September. Face-off with Yashin and Campbell doing the honors. Yashin picks himself up as the Russians start to come out of the zone. Belov taken on by Hedekin. Boughton. Pass up the middle. Butsayev. Yerofeev. Another pass in front. Boughton got it up, and Butsayev just couldn't hang on to it. That went to Terreri's doorstep. Renheim on the far side having problems with Yashin, and Belov. Eventually it's taken and shot away all the way out into neutral ice territory. Boughton had problems with Campbell. Yerofeev went back to scoop it up. Krieger gets it right in front. Krieger, great pass. Mikhailovsky was there to help stop Campbell. Korolyuk took the shot. Rebound comes out, and Sarmatin went in quickly but couldn't get a stick on the puck. Krasokin floats it in, bounces in the corner. Sarmatin goes in quickly, and the Americans now try to get it out along the boards, and they do. Krasokin in neutral ice territory having problems with McInnes, and we have a 2-line whistle out there.
Mikhailovsky hasn't had any trouble getting himself into this third and final period, coming up with a big save. A couple of good passes by the Americans. Campbell right on the receiving end of the pass. It looked like a potential goal. Krieger with a lot of time, looks up, feeds the puck across. Campbell's right there. Good save by Mikhailovsky.
Face-off just inside the Russian zone where that 2-line pass originated. Coming up to the 2-minute mark of this third period. Morozov tried to kick it back, and puck is grabbed by Fokin. Long pass up the middle. Barkov got a touch. He touched it on the Russian side of the red line. It goes all the way down the ice. Icing is the call.
Russians looking for that quick break up the middle a couple of times already. There's only been 2 minutes played in the period. We've seen 2 opportunities created by the Russian defense looking for that pass. Barkov coming through the center.
The Americans, with their first pro game ever back in 1903. The Russians didn't really get started until 1946. It's hard to believe. We've been watching the Russians for so long now, and they've had such powerful teams that they haven't been around that long. Tansel took the shot. McInnes got it in behind the net, and Fokin gets it out in a hurry. Fedotov, long pass up to Morozov, and again we have a two-line pass stopping the play. In the USA, they have in excess of 1,000 indoor rinks and approximately 300,000 registered hockey players, so a lot of players to choose from. The Russians with about 55,000 registered hockey players and 84 indoor rinks. So you can see the difference between these two countries. The Canadians have about 3,000 indoor rinks, and that's why the sport is so successful in that country. Sullivan on the far side. USA bringing it deep into Russian territory. Yerofeyev doing a great job behind the net at tying his man up. Yashin got it out. Yashin along the boards looking for something from Butseyev. He elects to go deep into the American zone. Belov on the far side. Beers can get it as far as the blue line. Sullivan sends it the rest of the way. 3 minutes gone on the period. Still a 1-0 scoreline with the Americans in the lead in this hockey game.
The Russians still changing things up with the players. Kroliak going over to the bench, having a quick word. He's going to stay on the ice. Chupin is out there. Skopintsev. Players going down. The Russians doing what they've got to do to keep guys fresh. Sarmatin is out there now to join them on the left wing.
More important games, more big games tomorrow. Canada against the Czech Republic in the afternoon. Sweden against Finland. And those really are going to be big games. We're going to have another rocking and rolling crowd in here when the Finns do battle. Sarmatin desperately trying to get that puck out front. Skopintsev along the boards. Pass is off the boards. Weinrich lifted that one over Koroliak's head instead of going to Martin. Chupin races down on the right side. He's got Koroliak back in the corner. Martin goes in hard, and the Americans scoop it up and get it up nicely. Coming out of the zone. Plant. Sarmatin all over him. German referee allows that to continue. Chupin now down on the right side. Martin against him. Dives and punches that into the corner. Weinrich against Chupin. Koroliak, this guy can move. He's given some space, but on that occasion he wasn't. He was tied up. Koroliak can't go behind the net because Plant won't let him. Plant now brings him down, and Koroliak is going to see Plant in his dreams, I'm sure. That comes back. Fokin takes it along the blue line. Henriksen chases. Martin got in front of it. Chupin and Martin go shoulder to shoulder. The pass out is eventually slid down the ice by Marinucci, and the icing whistle blows, but Plant was doing a great job on Koroliak, but I don't really think it was legal.
Depends on what you consider legal. When it's your job to cover the men around the front of the net, a lot of things go unsaid, and the referee lets things go unpunished in a lot of cases. It's 50-50 for both teams. Matt Martin was muscling things around behind the net. Again, it's this sort of grind it out, keep the puck down low, look for a pick or a give and go opportunity. It's tough going. Koroliak and Plant look like they're Velcro to each other.
Koroliak eventually decided to go the other way. He said, this door is closed. There's no way I'm going to get through.
You're right. He'd had enough. He was just trying to get out of the play.
He was going to climb over the plexi, I'm sure, if he wasn't allowed to go the other way either. 4:34 gone on the third period. The whistle blows and the face-off at the top of the circle in the American zone. They're leading by 1. Barkov is there. Barkov is one of the bigger centers on the team. Fedotov got the shot away. Barkov now being chased by Campbell. Tip out over the zone. Barkov against the boards. Fokin goes back. Fedotov is there first. Pushes that to the far side. The Americans coming in quickly with lots of players in front. Krieger trying to get the shot away. Fedotov picks it up. 2 American players are caught deep. And Fedotov elects to go to the bench, but he went to the American bench almost head first. He was taken out of the play after he shot it in the zone. Working on this side is Krieger. That squirts to the far side, and Morozov will pick it up and slap it in. Tereri keeps that from coming out. Yashin is beaten to the puck. Morozov. Krieger now for the U.S. as Tansel stays on side. The shot off the blocker. Tansel in the corner working with Krieger. Balchin shoved it a little. That comes out of the zone. Donato up against Belov. Belov goes one way. Donato's there. Balchin gets the back pass and gets it up nicely to Butseyev. Back to Belov. The shot right on the target, and Tereri is there to push it into the corner. Donato tries to get it back behind the net. Yashin is right there. Belov out front. Butseyev behind the net. Yashin goes over to provide a little pick. Donato is in there for the Americans. Yashin tipped away, but not out of the zone. Comes back to Yerofeyev. Yerofeyev winds up. Tereri went down. That ricocheted over to Yashin. Boughton lets a shot go to save by Tereri. The rebound came out, and Butseyev was unable to collect that one. McInnes shoots it to the far side of the rink as both teams go for a change. Chupin goes in. Sullivan unable to get it. That shot is upstairs and off the boards. Eventually cleared out of the zone. Martin away from the Russian attacker out there. Sullivan coming back on the fly. Sarmatin. Long pass up. Karoliak spun around, taken out of the play. Chupin steals it right at the red line from Sullivan. Long shot. Goaltender makes the save. Chupin again. Gets it right in front. The tip is there. And Brashear pumps it into the corner. The Americans now with some room to move. Beers to Brashear. Brashear has got Sullivan. Brashear goes along. Skopintsov decides to let him go. Bouncing off the side of the net. Morozov picks it up and comes back. 7:25 gone on the period. Long shot in. Tereri gloves it down, gives it to LeChance. Keeps the play moving. Fedotov comes in and pokes it along the boards. Morozov is hit out of the play. Karoliak is back there. The loose puck is gathered. And Fokin goes in. Fokin winds up, sends it to the far side. Right in front. Barkov was the intended receiver, and the shot just didn't come. 7:51 gone. Barkov to the far side of the rink. Morozov with that long reach tries to bring it through the circle. And the Americans with 3 players in the circle get it out with Hendrickson shooting it away.
Couple of nice little plays by Darby Hendrickson to help out his defenseman. He got his body in the way of the puck when Tereri appeared to be in trouble, and then he took the pressure off the Americans by just gently laying the puck down the ice. The icing call is there, but Hendrickson happy to hear the whistle blow to take the shift change. Hendrickson getting a piece of the puck there when Tereri was desperate to get back into position.
The drummers beating out a message in the background as Yashin gets into the face-off circle. These guys will keep going until the puck is dropped. I think they may drop sooner than the puck. The official working on the stick there of Campbell. The Americans eventually get it and take it to the near corner. Penalty coming up. Roloff is not happy with that call.
Well, the only thing Roloff could have done there was kick the skates out from underneath the Russian. We'll have to see the replay because Roloff had the puck. He was skating along the boards. The 2 players were bustling for it. Well, I don't know. Roloff would have to be awful strong to lift Belov off the ice that way.
Roloff feels that Belov was hanging on to his stick. The German referee saw it differently. Hooking is the call at 8:14. Power play now for the Russians, and they're going through a good spell in this third and final period. The time of the penalty is 8:14. Still a lot of time left on this hockey game.
It's been a physical game, and both teams have shown a lot of discipline up to this point in the game. The Americans now, with Roloff's penalty, have only taken 8 minutes in penalties, and the Russians have 8 minutes.
Yashin stays out there. Donato at center for the Americans. Yashin, that comes back. Boughton with room to shoot. Cleverly gets it over to Yerofeyev, who lets the shot go. Donato slides and gets it over onto the wing. Cleared down the ice, and you can see the commitment from players on both sides out there when they start doing things like that just to get the puck over the blue line. Yashin slides it in, and LeChance is there along the boards, goes into the corner. A lot of action in that far corner of the rink. Butseyev with the puck. Yashin wants it this way, Belov the other way. Donato gets it and lofts it high on the backhand. He'll go to the bench for a well-deserved break. Belov pushing it away from Sullivan, gets the return pass on the boards. Drop pass deep behind the net. The Russians trying to get away from Sullivan. Skopintsev eventually got it up. Sarmatin, nice pass from him as Yashin let the shot go. Belov on the far side. Sarmatin out there now instead of Butseyev. That comes back to Skopintsev. He's got Krasokin back here on the blue line. Yashin looking for a give and go. That's right in front. Sarmatin is right there. So is Tereri at the side of the net. Everyone crowding in.
Chris Tereri, not sure where the puck was, just put his right pad down on the ice, and there's no way that anything was going to move it. He still has it down there and hasn't moved. The whistle blew about 5 seconds ago. Yashin setting things up on that side of the ice. The puck went down low and ended up on the side of the net, but Tereri wasn't going to take any chances.
Faceoff stays in the American zone.
Again, you see LeChance and Klee start the penalty kill, go off the ice, and there's still 42 seconds on the penalty, and they're back on the ice already.
Driven along the boards, but not out. Kept in by the Russians. Still a power play effort there. Skopintsev and Krasokin floated in. Loose puck is in front. Goaltender down. And Korolyuk picks it up as that dribbled by the near post. Korolyuk back at the blue line. He's going to let it fly. Goes upstairs. Skopintsev flipped it along the boards behind the net. On this side is Chupin. Sarmatin is back behind the net. And it's chopped out. Korolyuk back at the red line. Starts it up again. Waits for a little support. The back pass. Chupin throws it over on the wing. There's no one there. Plant got it up to Henriksen. Henriksen is all alone. And Roloff steps on the ice at 10:18. The Americans are back at full strength. Morozov loses out. Plant head manning the puck nicely. Krieger almost breaking through, but Fokin so steady on defense. Picked it up. Korolyuk goes off the ice and onto the bench. Marinucci taken off the play nicely by Morozov. Prokopiev for the Russians. Not a good pass from him as Barkov was always going to be covered. Hedekin got it up. A chance now for Campbell. Campbell thrown off his mark a little, takes it into the corner and slides in, but the Russians pick it up and start it out again. 11 minutes gone on the period, 9 minutes left. That goes as far as the blue line with Barkov hitting Roloff. Pass up to the blue line, back come the Russians. Prokopiev breaks one way, but Morozov lets a shot go upstairs. Fedotov traps it on the far side, and his shot seemed to bobble ahead, and the Americans now with a 2-on-1. McInnes takes his time, let the shot go as Fokin fell down in an attempt to block the shot by McInnes. LeChance just drifts it in. McInnes is there again. The Americans with a couple players back behind that red line. McInnes and Tansel working hard. Barkov gets it to the far side of the rink. Campbell right in front. Barkov to the rescue for the Russians. Fokin doubles back and gives it right away. A chance now for Yashin. Yashin unable to let the shot go, but Belov came in. Ranheim as far as Yerofeev. No let up in the pressure here from the Russians. Ranheim overskated that, and the Russians now try to jam it in the short side. Belov taking a couple of hits. Boughton. Boughton looking for the return pass, gets it. Short pass up to Butseyev. 12:33 gone on the period. Butseyev gets to the blue line, and the Americans just clear it out and start it up again. Sullivan goes after that, but Broughton puts it over the plexi. That'll be a souvenir for someone, and it'll give both teams a chance to change their lines out there.
The Russians are still pressing the attack. Yashin going to work with his line, Butseyev and Belov. When the Americans are given an opportunity, they're doing their best to capitalize. McInnes has scored one goal and just about put that one away. Good work by Campbell, McInnes, and Tansel.
From the top of the circle, Sullivan against Chupin. Skopintsev, as far as the hash marks, Sullivan, Beers, Sarmatin pins him there. Klasokin is taken out of the plate. Koroliuk slides that in front, gives it right away. Skopintsev didn't see it, and the goaltender came up with a great big save as Beers went in unmolested.
Sarmatin's helmet is in the corner, and Bob Beers' helmet's in the corner. When they came out of that corner, Beers stepped right onto the end of Koroliuk's pass.
Brashear goes in, as does Fokin, but the whistle blows at 13:22 of this third period. Some great action here in that corner. Boy, is that physical stuff.
Both players, like I said, helmets off, came out of the corner. Beers thought he'd gone to heaven. He steps out. The puck is right on his stick. Compliments of Koroliuk. Thank you. But he took the shot. Save right there by Mukovsky. A good one.
Faceoff moves to the other end of the rink. As Beers settled down and explains what happened or didn't happen a moment ago.
Telling his line mates, well, I couldn't have gotten you an assist on that goal anyway because it was given to me by Koroliuk.
Tansel unable to clear it. Beyond the blue line, Tansel eventually gloves it out, and well spotted by the official. Faceoff comes back in to the American zone, to the point of where that puck was thrown out of the zone. Still a 1-0 scoreline in this hockey game. After a week of some very high-scoring hockey games, things have really tightened up in the final round. We're seeing some great goaltending, some close checking, and the big shooters are unable to bury the puck beyond these goaltenders.
The other 4 teams in this final round have had 6 games. This is the 7th game for these 2 teams.
Morozov, just as we said, the goals were few and far between. Levels the score at 13:49. A sliding puck eludes Terreri, and he's beaten for the first time in this hockey game. It's all level.
The puck kept right on the ice by Morozov, his 3rd goal and his 6th point of this tournament, and that is a big one for the Russians. They have finally found an answer and a way to get something behind Chris Terreri. Prokopiev taking the Americans on, laying the pass off. Morozov more or less fanned on his shot. It was a weak shot. Terreri had made his move and couldn't recover.
Again, we see some good stuff from Prokopiev, helping to make things happen out there. Brashear unable to get on the end of that pass right at the red line, and the icing whistle brings the face-off back into American territory. 5 minutes and 59 seconds remaining on the hockey game. Terreri already moving to his left, already down on the ice, unable to get back into it. as that one trickled in to the far corner. Oh, just can't get it. Sullivan against Yashin. To the far side, Beers collects for the USA. Beers drives it into the corner. This is a brand new hockey game now. Bashir can make things happen. Yerofeyev chops at him. Bashir turns around and gets his own rebound. Loses out, and the Russians get it up along the boards. Hedekin moving in. Hedekin with Belov. That eventually comes out, and it's a two-line pass as Butseyev picked it up on the wrong side of the red line.
Good defensive coverage. Hedekin had stepped up from the blue line, so Roloff came across to that side, and Sullivan backed over to take Roloff's spot.
No one is leaving this Hartwell Arena, that's for sure. We hope you're staying with us. We're going to be here right to the end and throughout the week with more live action. Great shot by Weinreich right on the target. Skopintsev races in, tries to push it through a crowd, and that comes down. Weinreich is there. Martin on this side, he elects to go up the boards to Marinucci. Krasokin drives it back along the boards. Krasokin picks up his own shot, gets it up. It's a 2-on-2 situation as the Russians come down with Chupin. He doesn't get very hard. Chupin sucks up a bit of breath and comes right back up the ice. Plant steers that behind the goal. The giveaway there. Goaltender comes up big. Plant takes shot. That bobbles there. Marinucci's in the crease. Hendrickson moves in hard, and eventually it's shot around the boards down the ice. Mikhailovsky had just about everyone in his face on that play.
Well, the grinder line for the Americans nearly picking up a goal. Hendrickson, Marinucci, and Plant. It couldn't have come much closer than this one. Mikhailovsky made the first save. Can't find the rebound. The puck is bouncing. Another display of pulling the puck down with the glove. Plant wasting no time. It just scoots right along the red line and avoids trouble in the end.
Marinucci right in the crease there, looking to pop it in the net. That puck is a bit like an Indian rubber ball sometimes and just seems to bounce and bounce and bounce. We've seen some weird and wonderful bounces. Belov let the wrist shot go, almost made something out of nothing. Butseyev got it over to Yashin. The shot right on the target, and Terreri hangs on to that with Belov sneaking up from behind. 4 minutes and 25 seconds left on the hockey game. Terreri staying down for a rest.
The Americans changing up. Yashin, Butseyev, and Belov staying on the ice. This line is not to ever be trusted.
Sullivan goes into the circle. That bounces down. Yashin tried to get the shot away. The poke there as Belov moved in front. Yashin, Belov, and Butseyev, the big line for the Russians during this tournament, will now get a break as 5 players jump over the boards onto the ice and take over. As we take another look at this, everyone very, very close indeed. Belov going in, and eventually Brashear jumped into the picture and got the stick on it. Barkov in the face-off circle. McInnes floats in to the far side. Prokopiev is tied up. Ranheim unable to get on the end of it. Lachance waits for the goaltender to grab it. And Terreri says, let me have it, we'll do that again.
Lachance saying, you're very welcome to having it, because the puck was bouncing. Lachance didn't want to try and control the puck or take it away from Terreri. He just lifted his stick and let Terreri handle the puck.
Well, we finally get a picture of that noise level meter out there. That's what all the fuss is about. The backhander coming in, and again, Terreri makes the save, and the Russians are shooting from everywhere. In situations where you don't expect them to shoot, they let things fly through a crowd from sharp angles from behind the net. It's all happening out there, and Terreri is coming up big. Markov stays out there. Ranheim picks it up from the face-off circle and just gets it along the boards. Donato was pinned. Ranheim gathers it. McInnes lets a shot go on the move, handled easily by the goaltender, and just shot down the ice. Terreri comes out to stop it as he sees that there's no icing call on the play. McInnes happy just to steer it away from Krasokin. Korolyuk, Skopintsev looking for Korolyuk. He finds it himself, goes up. Klee ties him up and almost drags him down. The Americans looking for that red line to shoot it in. It doesn't happen out there. 16:42. Korolyuk takes a check from Weinrich. The Americans quickly out of the zone, and Chupin taken off the plate. Plant squeezed out by Krasokin. Skopintsev being shadowed by Henriksen. He rattles it off the boards. That'll go the distance. This one will be an icing call. We have 2 minutes and 55 seconds left on the hockey game. It's all tied up at 1 apiece. You don't get much closer than this.
Both teams still going at a strong pace, but time is starting to take its toll. Each one of these teams played a tough game last night. So at this level and with this size ice surface, back-to-back nights aren't an easy thing to overcome. The Russians taking their time between the whistles now. They're playing with less players than the Americans are.
The Americans will do whatever they have to do to stop number 27. That's one way of slowing them down. Sullivan wants Martin to move over as the shot went on to Beers' stick. Beers got it from Bashir. Bashir picks it up. Bashir stick handling the top of the circle, runs into one too many red shirts, and Belov now works his way to the far side. Butseyev on this side. He went in too close to the goal, tries to get it along the boards, eventually does, but he's out of the zone. Yerofeyev pops it back in. This time Terreri can get on the end of it. Bashir just deflects it out into neutral ice territory. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on the hockey game. Campbell taps it in, and that comes all the way back to the blue line. The Americans looking to get it up through neutral ice territory to the red line. Pass by Roloff is batted down by Belov. Fokin looking for places to go with 2 minutes now on the clock. Up to Barkov on the boards. Barkov's pass is just out into center ice, and the Americans with McInnes rag the puck deep in their zone. Off the boards. McInnes trying to get it out, and back comes Prokopiev. He stole it from Donato. Hedekin goes over, and Donato will pick this up along the boards and start it up again. A little pass up onto the left wing. These guys are starting to look tired as Roloff sends it in. 1 minute and 25 seconds remaining on the hockey game. McInnes gives it to Donato. Campbell circles in the circle. A rink-wide pass doesn't work. The Russians with Korolyuk going up, and Donato will get there first. Korolyuk is brought down, and he wants a penalty, but the German referee says no, play on. Krasokin slaps at that, and again, the Russians go in deep. Hedekin with Korolyuk on one side, Sarmatin on the other. Gets it out of the zone with a little help from McInnes. That eventually goes down the ice, and the players come together.
McInnes thought that Sullivan was going to go left, and he went right. Sullivan went into the middle. McInnes' pass went down along the boards. Icing is the call. Less than a minute to play.
.52 seconds left on the hockey game. This time Karoliak gets away from his man, but not for long. Hedekin sighed a sigh of relief when he saw the German referee's arm stay down.
Karoliak should have been given a penalty for impersonating an actor.
The referee on that occasion was on the far side of the rink, but wasn't in a bad position to see it. Sometimes they get caught way beyond the play and they can't make the call, and they still do. The tip along the boards into the corner. The Russians now trying to dig it out with Butseyev. Butseyev one way, Yashin the other. Yashin slices at that. Butseyev has Belov on the corner. And look at the pressure coming from Sullivan. Everyone has a man out there. The loose puck is eventually picked up by the Americans. 30 seconds on the clock. The long pass down the ice by Weinrich, and why did he do that? It'll be an icing whistle, and the faceoff will go back into the American zone. He had all the time in the world to get up to the red line before the pass was made. That may be one that he will live to regret, but look at the pressure out there from all 6 players involved over the red line.
Yashin, the player that's underneath Weinrich. Weinrich showed good speed to get out of the zone, but Yashin even better speed to get back into the play and make it a 3-on-3. Weinrich again going to the left with the pass when the player went to the right.
Barkov against Sullivan. Klee taps it gently to the far side. The Americans working it up through neutralized territory. Hendrickson trying to get the backhand away. Fokin ties up his man as Prokopiev got back in a hurry. 10 seconds left on the clock. 5 seconds now as the Americans go back. This one is going to end in a 1-1 scoreline. A long shot just as the buzzer goes. Well, a scoreless first period. McInnes made it 1-0 at 17:02 of the second period, and then Morozov at 13:49 of the third leveled the score. Well, what a gutsy performance from both teams out there.
Well, the Russians did what they had to do in the third period. They got something to go into the net behind Chris Terreri.
Just a reminder that tomorrow the Czech Republic against Canada, Italy, Germany, and Finland against Sweden. That's going to be a big battle. Finland, Sweden, Czech Republic, Canada, a good one in the afternoon to watch. But the Finn-Swede battle is quite a battle when you're playing in Helsinki, Finland.
The Russians have played 7 games, but they've got 5 points, and they're currently in front. The Swedes with 4, the Canadians with 4, the Americans now with 3 points. It's the Czechs and the Finns lagging behind with 2.
Well, that's all we have time for now. Another good hockey game. We hope you enjoyed it. Until tomorrow, from Richard Beaupre and myself, Paul Ferguson, good night.
The Ice Hockey World Championships were brought to you by Bauer, Skoda, MTD, for a growing world.
Vodka Gorbachev and Lemon. Go and get it.
Against Finland in the medal round of the Ice Hockey World Championships in Helsinki. Jeff Friesen broke the goalless deadlock 3.5 minutes from the end of a tight match. 1-0 the results.
It's normally a problem for the Canadian team at the World Championships to play strong in the first few games. We normally have only 3 or 4 practices together as a team, where we're facing opponents that have been together for 1 month or 5 weeks and have played a lot of games during the season together. So it's certainly a problem for our Canadian team, and our philosophy is to get better game by game.
Canada now have 4 points from 3 games, equal with favourites and Olympic champion Sweden. Russia, who drew with the USA tonight, top the table on 5 points. World champion